Hello, my friend. Welcome or welcome back to my cozy art channel and into my messy little art studio. My name is Melanie and I'm a watercolor and mixed media artist, but I also work digitally when I'm creating coloring books or picture books. Today I wanted to bring you along on my second sketchbook tour on this channel so far. This sketchbook is a Strathmore softcover mixed media art journal. That is a lot to say. It is not my favorite sketchbook by any means. I actually prefer the watercolor version of this sketchbook because the paper can handle, well, a lot more water. This sketchbook ended up being too thin of paper for my process. So you're going to see throughout this video that I only use one side of the paper due to the buckling and bleed through. Next, you're seeing me kind of skip through these first few pages because I bought this sketchbook originally thinking I was going to use it to plan out my own picture book and realized the paper was just too thin for that, so I stopped using it for that purpose. This piece right here was some prompts that I got from Mimi. She's Mimi Moo Illustration. You may know her from YouTube as well or Instagram. And this was just a fun one I did for myself and wasn't really part of this sketchbook tour, but I thought I'd show you because it's really cute. So here's where we really get started, and this is the start of my 100 days of painting that I have assigned myself. This is day one, and it's a view in Ireland from my trip this last summer with my family. And it was a trip I've been planning since I was a teenager, so don't be surprised if you see a lot of work upcoming from me in the next year or two that is Irish inspired. But back to this painting challenge, I assigned myself a challenge to paint for 100 days, and it's a very loose challenge. It does not have to be every single day because that's just not realistic for me, and it's going to be mixed media, so whatever I feel like working in the moment, that's what I'm going to use. And before working from any other prompts, I am trying to use my own photos. So basically my travel photos, my photos from my garden, anything that I've collected over the years and it's just been sitting in a file, that's what I'm going to go to first for this 100 days of painting. And so far it's been working really well. I've been having so much fun in my sketchbook, visiting images that I clearly took for a reason and was inspired by in that moment and coming back to them and creating art from them. It just makes the whole thing more personal. You're more connected to the piece that you're making, and it's just super duper fun. You may also notice some of these pieces because I've actually made videos about them, like this one here. I have a sketchbook with me video on this piece where you can actually see my reference photo. This is from Washington. But I've had fun kind of taking video of a lot of these, whether it's for short form for Instagram Reels or long form like here for YouTube, and then I invite you to come sketchbook with me. So starting this 100-day project has really already been transformative, even though we're only seeing my first 25 paintings here in this sketchbook. One reason it has been a transformative experience already is because I've allowed myself to play with a lot of different mediums or materials. I have been experimenting with Neocolor crayon and watercolor and gouache paint and Copic white ink, and then adding in pen ink detail and just lots of colored pencil. And this isn't a way I'm used to working. I was normally just kind of watercolor and that's it. But since allowing myself to blend and mix so many different things together, I'm finding processes that I really enjoy. And it's more about finding a process that works for you than a style, so to speak. So I've learned really quickly that I enjoy putting down some sort of base of color with paint and then coming over the top with colored pencil, or marker first and then colored pencil. Normally paint though. And I also, part of my style or process is adding in pops of unexpected color into places you might not think to put it. So you'll notice I use a lot of color and a lot of certain colors, like these pinks and turquoises or teals and aquas. Like those are colors that truly make me so happy. Like with the elephant before. When I first started the elephant, I started making it kind of this grayish purple and then stopped myself and was like, why am I doing that like that? That's not the colors I want to use. So I changed the entire thing, went back and put in the colors I actually wanted to use for that little elephant. So just experimenting in my sketchbook for these first 25 days has truly opened my eyes and changed the way I work and gotten me to, like I said, find the processes that I like as an artist. I encourage you to try a painting project like this. It doesn't have to be 100 days. Make it 15, make it 30, make it something that feels attainable to start with. This was a super experimental piece right here. It's another Irish photo of my husband walking my daughter along a cliffside, and I was trying out a lot of different materials here, and I ended up not liking this piece at all because I didn't like the materials I layered up, including the pastels, but I learned a lot, right? And this one was interesting. I actually started with alcohol markers and then layered watercolor, colored pencil, and ink over the top. I have never done that before, but it worked pretty well. The center was marker, so something to try, but you see it bled through like crazy through this paper. So this just makes it so you can't actually use the other side. Now this galaxy here I was just having a bad mental health day and I couldn't even think about looking at one of my prompt photos or one of my own personal photos to use because it just seemed too hard. So I just put color to paper and played and put sparkle on it. That made me feel better. On this one, I was kind of romanticizing the very first snow we had here in the UP on that specific day. I wanted it to look really kind of fairy-like and ethereal and just romanticize something that can sometimes be hard to acknowledge that the seasons are changing back to the colder, harsher months. This is a view that I have in my town here that's just a few minutes from my home. It's a place called Fortune Pit. It's a really beautiful filled-in mine pit. You wouldn't think that that would be beautiful, but it is. The water's clear. And it was reflecting a beautiful sunset this evening, and I wanted to try painting that, and I changed it, by the way. This is not how it actually looks in real life, and that is another thing that I encourage you to do. Use your own artistic license to make things the way you want to see them. By the way, the squeaking you hear in the back is my bird Promise. Say hello, Promi. These hollyhocks are probably one of my favorite pieces in this sketchbook. I challenged myself to do a white flower, but I just threw all the colors at it and I loved how it turned out. This was one of the more challenging pieces in here. This is an allium plant. The texture on these is the challenge. It's got this star-like petal that bursts out in a ball shape. I can't even explain it. You should look up a picture, and I wanted to challenge myself to see if I could pull this off, and this actually looks pretty darn good considering what an allium really looks like. Working from my own garden photos and plant photos has become a real joy for me. This is a peony from my garden, and this is another one of my favorite pieces in here. I loved the colors that I ended up using, and this pop of kind of turquoise that I threw into the shadows just made my heart so happy. So this is something that I plan to be using in my work moving forward, is this use of color. This is a piece I was super unhappy with. The fern did not turn out the way I had planned. I wanted to kind of make this heart-like shape at the ends and just play off of just all of the different lines and textures, and it just was a mess. And so I was like, well, let's intentionally make it even messier and just like spray water on it, throw water at it. And some of it looked kind of cool, but overall kind of a failed experiment. This is a fuchsia flower from my garden. Not a whole lot to say about this one. I was trying to practice like the folds of the petals and also kind of mimic the folds of fabric because that's something I need to get better at. And it looks okay. It needs some more work, but this was good practice, which is what my sketchbook is for, right? And this is the final piece in the sketchbook. It's a beautiful little cottage celebrating the realization that the common theme in a lot of my work seems to be this cosmic cottagecore blend. And so I plan to make a lot more work in that theme moving forward to really create a sense of cohesion within my artwork and art shops and classes that I run. So 25 days of painting, it's already shaped my year ahead. It's changed the way I work. It's inspired me. I'm excited to move forward and to see what other pieces kind of come out of me. I'm not going to limit myself. Again, I'm going to keep this challenge for myself very flexible and keep moving forward. Hopefully you'll see a lot more sketchbook tours coming up from me soon with even more artwork like this, but maybe even better, we hope, right? And I'm just pointing out one last time, in case you missed it in the beginning, I don't use both sides of this paper because it simply cannot handle the intensity of my artwork. So that's pretty much it for this sketchbook tour. Thank you so much for being here and flipping through my colorful sketchbook with me. If you have any specific questions, feel free to leave them below and I will answer you. I hope to have a lot more of these coming up in the future. So if you liked this and you want to see more, feel free to subscribe and definitely leave me a comment below and tell me which piece in my sketchbook was your favorite. I'd love to know. Thank you again for being here. I'll see you next time.